They say time is a thief. It steals our youth, our strength, and our memories. But for Silas Thorne, a 72-year-old Vietnam veteran from Ohio, time wasn't a thief. It was a prison guard. For 50 years, Silas lived a good life. He had a career, a house with a porch, and a routine that kept the ghosts at bay. But behind the stoic exterior of a man who survived the jungles of Southeast Asia was a hollow space, a silence that no amount of noise could fill. Most veterans come home and leave the war behind. But Silas left something else in Da Nang in 1972. He left a promise. He left a girl named Lynn. Today, we are going to ask a question most people are too afraid to answer. Can a heart truly stay faithful for half a century? And what happens when a man who has given up on hope finally decides to go looking for it? It happened on a Tuesday, during a simple act of spring cleaning. Silas was moving boxers in the attic when he knocked over an old footlocker, one he hadn't opened since he was discharged. Inside, buried under his olive-drab fatigues, was a small silk scarf. It was the color of a summer sunset, smelling faintly of jasmine and age. As his fingers touched the fabric, the walls of his quiet Ohio home dissolved. Suddenly, it wasn't 2024, it was 1971. He could hear the rhythmic thwack-thwack of Huey helicopters. He could feel the stifling humidity, and he could see Lynn. She had given him that scarf the day before his unit moved out. "Come back for me," she had whispered. Aington did too. But the chaos of the fall of Saigon, the loss of records, and the crushing weight of real life buried that promise under 5 decades of dust. Silas sat on the attic floor and cried for the first time in 30 years. Not because he was sad, but because he realized he had spent 50 years living as a ghost. The trigger had been pulled. He wasn't just finding a scarf. He was finding his mission. But how does a 70-year-old man find a woman in a country that has reinvented itself 3 times over? Silas didn't know where to start. He had a first name, a faded photo, and the name of a village that didn't exist on modern maps. The conflict wasn't just the distance. It was the doubt. His friends told him he was chasing a shadow. "Silas, she's moved on. She is likely gone. Don't do this to yourself." Internal turmoil became his daily companion. Every no from a veterans organization felt like a physical blow. Every dead-end lead on social media felt like he was losing her all over again. He spent thousands on private investigators who took his money and gave him nothing but blurry photos of women who were UNTer. He began to spiral. He stopped eating. The stakes weren't just about a lost love anymore. It was about his own survival. He felt that if he couldn't find Lynn, his entire life would have been a lie. He was a soldier who had left a comrade behind. The breakthrough didn't come from a high-priced investigator. It came from a moment of surrender. Silas realized his flaw. He had been searching for the girl in the photo. He had been looking for a 19-year-old in a world of grandmothers. He realized that even if he found her, she wouldn't be the person he remembered, and he wasn't the boy who left. He had to stop looking for a ghost and start looking for a human soul. He reached out to a local Vietnamese community center in Cincinnati. He stopped acting like a detective and started acting like a man with a broken heart. He shared his story, not as a tragedy, but as a confession. A young volunteer there, moved by his sincerity, took an interest. She didn't look at maps. She looked at family lineages. She used a Vietnamese social app and started asking about a family that once owned a small tailoring shop near the old base. 3 weeks later, Silas's phone buzzed. It was a photo. An elderly woman sitting in a garden, wearing a dress the exact same color as the silk scarf in his attic. The flight to Da Nang was 20 hours, but for Silas, it felt like another 50 years. His heart hammered against his ribs, a drumbeat of terror and hope. When he arrived at the small house on the outskirts of the city, the air smelled of jasmine again. He walked into the garden, his hands shaking, holding that sunset-colored scarf. She was standing by a lemon tree. Her hair was silver now, her face a map of a life lived through hardship and peace. He didn't say a word. He just held up the scarf. Lynn froze. The years seemed to peel away from her face in an instant. She didn't see an old man with a cane. She saw the boy who promised to come back. "Silas," she whispered. The recognition was immediate. It was a soul-level connection that time couldn't touch. They didn't run to each other, they walked, slowly, meeting in the middle of the garden. Two survivors finally completing a journey that began in the middle of a war. When they finally embraced, Silas felt the hollow space in his chest fill for the first time in 52 years. He wasn't a ghost anymore. Was home. Silas and Lynn didn't get their youth back. They couldn't reclaim the decades lost to distance and politics, but they got something better. A sunset. They spent the next year traveling between Ohio and Vietnam, proving that while the body may age, a promise kept is a form of immortality. Their story reminds us that no matter how much time has passed, it is never, ever too late to go back for what you love. If this story touched your heart, please hit that subscribe button. Every subscription helps us grow this channel, which allows us to partner with organizations that provide meals and support to our aging veterans who deserve to never be forgotten. And before you go, I want to ask you a question. If you could go back in time and send a one-sentence message to someone you have unspoken to in years, who would it be? And what would you say? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single